An American software developer moved to an Israeli tech company. During his first code review, his colleagues were brutally direct, saying things like, "This is illogical and inefficient. Delete it and start over." He went to HR to complain about workplace bullying and a hostile environment. The HR manager had to explain that this was just doughree, a cultural norm of straightforward, blunt honesty meant to save time, not to personally attack him. While visiting a friend in Oslo, an American woman saw a baby in a stroller sleeping outside a coffee shop in the freezing cold. She immediately panicked, ready to call the police for child endangerment. Her Norwegian friend had to physically stop her, explaining that it's common for babies to nap outside in the cold air, as it's believed to be healthy for them. The American whispered, "But someone could take it, or it could freeze." I was with an American tourist at a bustling market in Cairo. He picked up an item and offered the vendor half the marked price. The vendor politely refused. The American, thinking this was all part of the haggling game, kept insisting and getting louder. The vendor finally said, "Sir, this is not a negotiation, that is the price." The tourist threw the item down, complaining, "What a rip-off! These people don't even know how to haggle properly." An American architect was consulting on a project in Amsterdam, reviewing plans for a renovated canal house. He was horrified by the steep, narrow staircases. This is a lawsuit waiting to happen. It violates every single ADA regulation for safety and accessibility. He couldn't grasp that the building's historical protected status meant the fundamental structure, including the centuries-old staircase design, could not be changed. My American roommate in Seoul tried to leave a tip at a restaurant. The waitress, looking concerned, chased him down the street to return the money. He didn't understand her Korean and just smiled, thinking she was thanking him for his generosity. He came home and said, "The service here is so amazing. They're so grateful for a small tip. She literally ran after me to thank me." He had no idea he had insulted her by implying she wasn't paid enough. An American on a guided trek in the Peruvian Andes kept stopping to check his phone. After an hour, he asked the guide, "What's the Wi-Fi password for the mountain? I'm not getting any signal." The guide just stared at him. The American continued, "Well, how are we supposed to upload our pictures? My followers are waiting. You should really have repeaters installed along the trail. It's bad for business." I worked at a post office in a small New Zealand town. An American came in wanting to ship a box back home. After I calculated the postage, he said, "Okay, and can I get a book of stamps and some of those free if it fits, it ships boxes?" I had to explain that we don't have those specific promotions or free supplies. He replied, "But you're a post office. All post offices have that. Are you sure you know what you're doing?" An American exchange student in my dorm in Helsinki was baffled by the sauna culture. He refused to go in without his swim trunks. When we explained that you go in naked, he said, "With other dudes? No way, that's gay." Later, he tried to use it by himself, but came out after 5 minutes complaining, "It's just a hot, boring room. What's the point? You're supposed to relax, but there isn't even a TV in there." While driving through the English countryside, an American tourist got stuck behind a flock of sheep crossing the road. He laid on his horn continuously. A farmer walked over to his car and the American yelled, "Get your livestock off the road. I have places to be." The farmer calmly replied, "They have a right to be here, sir. This is their home. You are the visitor." The American was furious at the delay, muttering about his right of way. An American was in a German supermarket and wanted to buy a case of beer. It was 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. He nervously asked the cashier, "Is it okay for me to buy this now?" The cashier looked confused. "Why wouldn't it be?" The American explained, "In my state, you can't buy alcohol before noon. I didn't want to get in trouble." The idea that adults could be trusted to buy alcohol whenever stores were open was a revelation to him. My American colleague in our Tokyo office was invited to a co-worker's home for dinner. He brought an expensive, elaborately wrapped gift. When he presented it, the host thanked him and set it aside unopened. He was offended and later asked me, why didn't they open my gift? It was really rude. In America, you open it right there and tell the person how much you love it. He didn't understand the Japanese custom of opening gifts in private to avoid any potential embarrassment. An American was on vacation in a coastal town in Greece. He went to the beach and was shocked to see several women sunbathing topless. He immediately went to the lifeguard to complain. "You need to tell those women to cover up. There are children here. It's indecent." The lifeguard shrugged and said, "Sir, this is a beach, and those are bodies. If you are offended, you are free to find another beach." I was on a train in Switzerland, which was running perfectly on time. An American sitting near me was complaining to his wife, "I don't trust this. The schedule says we arrive at 14:23, and we're actually going to arrive at 14:23. It's unnatural. Something has to be wrong. A train that's this punctual must be cutting corners on safety." He was genuinely suspicious of the system's efficiency because he was so used to constant delays back home. An American student at a university in Scotland was told his final grade was based on 2 essays and 1 final exam. He went to the professor's office and asked, "What about participation grades, or pop quizzes, or extra credit for showing up? How can I raise my grade if I do badly on the exam?" The professor replied, "By studying the material and writing a better exam. We assess your knowledge, not your effort." An American was in a pharmacy in Quebec, Canada, looking for a specific brand of over-the-counter pain medication. He couldn't find it and asked the pharmacist, who told him it wasn't approved for sale in Canada due to certain health risks. The American was outraged. "What do you mean it's not approved? It's my body. I should have the freedom to choose what I put in it. This is what happens when you let the government control your health care." My American friend was visiting me in Melbourne, Australia. We were at a barbecue, and he started a conversation about his salary and how much his new car cost. A complete, awkward silence fell over the group. Later, I had to explain to him that it's considered very rude and boastful to discuss personal finances and income so openly in Australia. He said, "But how else are people supposed to know you're successful?" An American was staying at a small inn in rural Italy. He came down for breakfast at 10:30 a.m. and found the dining room closed. He found the owner and complained that he had missed breakfast. The owner said, "Sir, breakfast is from 7 to 9? The American replied, "But I'm on vacation. I'm the customer. You should serve breakfast whenever I want it. The customer is always right." The owner simply shrugged and went back to his work. I overheard an American at the Great Wall of China. He said to his son, "See, this is what happens when you don't have a strong air force. You have to build a giant wall. It's impressive, I guess, but it's not very practical. A few good bombers, and this whole thing would be useless." He viewed the entire wonder of the world through a lens of modern military strategy, completely missing the historical context. An American was working on a group project with classmates in Brazil. He was frustrated that his teammates wanted to socialize, grab coffee, and get to know each other before starting the work. He tried to force them to create an agenda and assign tasks immediately. "We're here to work, not to make friends," he insisted. He couldn't understand that for them, building a personal connection was a prerequisite for effective collaboration. A tourist from the US was in a bakery in Vienna and asked for a coffee to go. The baker poured the coffee into a ceramic mug. The American said, "No, I need it in a paper cup." "I'm in a hurry." The baker replied, "Sir, coffee is to be enjoyed, not to be rushed. We do not have paper cups. Please sit for 5 minutes." The man was annoyed, viewing the lack of a to-go option as poor customer service rather than a cultural stance on enjoying life. An American was in a public library in Denmark. He was talking on his phone in a normal conversational volume. A librarian came over and politely asked him to whisper or take the call outside. He was indignant. "I'm not yelling. This is my talking voice. This is a public space. I have a right to have a conversation. You're infringing on my freedom of speech." He thought the library's rule of silence was a personal attack. My American cousin was visiting India and was shocked by the concept of an arranged marriage. He told my friend, "That's so barbaric. You're letting your parents choose who you spend your life with? What about love? What about personal choice?" My friend calmly replied, "We believe our parents have the wisdom and experience to find a compatible partner. We see it as a union of families, not just two individuals. Our divorce rate is much lower than yours." An American was at a restaurant in Spain where the price on the menu included the value-added tax, VAT. When he got the bill, it was exactly what he expected. He called the waiter over confused. "Where are the taxes? You forgot to add the taxes to the bill." The waiter explained the tax was already included in the price. The American was suspicious. "That's not transparent. How do I know you're not ripping me off?" I was working at a hotel in Iceland when an American guest tried to check out. He handed me a personal check from a small bank in Ohio. I politely explained that we couldn't accept it. He was flabbergasted. "What do you mean?" "It's a check. It's real money. Are you saying I'm a liar? I've been writing checks my whole life. This is the most insulting thing that's ever happened to me." He couldn't fathom that his local payment method wasn't universal. An American was on a business trip in South Africa. He kept addressing everyone, including senior managers, by their first names. He was confused why people seemed cold and distant. A local colleague finally pulled him aside and explained, "Here, we use titles like Mr. or Mrs. and a surname until we are invited to use a first name. It is a sign of respect." The American said, "Wow, that's so formal and old-fashioned. We're all just people on a team." A tourist from the US was visiting a famous Buddhist temple in Thailand. He walked in wearing shorts, a tank top, and his shoes. A monk gently stopped him and pointed to a sign showing the dress code. The American argued, "But it's hot outside. I'm not going to change my clothes just to walk into a building. God doesn't care what I'm wearing." He completely failed to understand that he was in another religion's sacred space. An American was in a grocery store in France and saw a whole rabbit for sale in the butcher section, head and all. He was visibly disgusted. He took a picture and said loudly to his wife, "Can you believe this? They're selling Bugs Bunny. This is barbaric. Our meat comes in clean plastic packages, not looking like an actual animal. I think I'm going to be sick." My American boss in our Dublin office was confused why an employee requested a week off for a funeral. He said, "A whole week? In the States, you get 2, maybe 3 days, tops. It's sad, but the business has to keep moving. A week seems excessive and unprofessional." He didn't understand that Irish funerals and the associated wakes are multi-day community events that are deeply ingrained in the culture. An American was visiting a public park in Singapore and finished a can of soda. He couldn't immediately see a trash can, so he just dropped it on the pristine grass. A police officer approached him and wrote him a hefty fine for littering. The American was furious. "A fine for this? It's just one can. It's the government's job to hire people to clean this stuff up. This is entrapment." An American was trying to rent an apartment in Germany. The landlord gave him the contract and he was shocked. "You want me to pay a 3-month security deposit? And the kitchen has no appliances. I have to buy my own stove and refrigerator. This is a scam." In America, all of that comes with the apartment. He couldn't understand that this was the standard, unfurnished rental practice. I was on a bus in Costa Rica that broke down. The driver got out and started working on the engine. The passengers waited patiently. An American on the bus stood up and yelled, "This is unacceptable. I demand a refund. You need to call another bus right now. What's your corporate number?" The other passengers just looked at him, then back at the beautiful scenery. perfectly content to wait. He was the only one having a crisis. An American was at a public health clinic in Portugal for a minor issue. After being seen by a doctor, he went to the front desk and asked, "Okay, how much do I owe you?" The receptionist said, "There is no charge, sir." "It is covered." He looked at her suspiciously. "No, I'm a tourist. I don't have your insurance. I have to pay. Just tell me the price." He could not accept that the system was designed to treat people first and not worry about their ability to pay. An American was in a pub in Manchester, UK, and got into a friendly debate with some locals. They started teasing him and making fun of his accent and his questions. He became visibly upset and angry. "Why are you all being so mean to me? I'm just trying to have a conversation." He didn't realize that this form of banter and taking the piss was a sign of affection and camaraderie, not genuine hostility. An American was visiting a friend in a small town in Poland. He was amazed that his friend's teenage son was allowed to walk to the store by himself. "You just let him go? Aren't you worried he'll be kidnapped? I would never let my kid out of my sight. I drive him everywhere, even if it's just 2 blocks away." The idea of a safe community where children had independence was completely alien to his fear-based parenting style. An American was in a cafe in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He ordered a steak and a coffee. The waiter brought the steak, and the American ate his meal. After he finished, he asked, "Where's my coffee?" The waiter explained that coffee is served after the meal, not with it. The American argued, "No, I want it with my food. I always have coffee with my steak. Just bring me the coffee." The waiter looked at him as if he had asked for ketchup on a fine dessert.